Frierdiker Rebbe told over the story. Yesat Tzemach Tzedek Yelet. Tzemach Tzedek was a child. V'lomad HaKosov. As HaKosov, he learned the posik. Vayechi Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim Shva Esrei Shana. That Yaakov lived in Mitzrayim 17 years. Tirgim le'meirei. So his teacher interpreted it, explained it. Al pi pirish balaturim, based on what the balaturim says. Yud Zayin Shneisov HaMuvchoreis Chai Yaakov Mitzrayim. It says it in Yiddish. Yaakov Avinu had gelebt the 17 beste Jahren in Mitzrayim. That Yaakov lived the best years of his life. The 17 best years of his life were lived in Mitzrayim. This is what Tzemach Tzedek learned as a child in Cheder. When he came home from Cheder, so he asked his grandfather, the Alter Rebbe, how could it be that Yaakov Avinu, the chosen one of the Ovis, so the best years of his life should be should be the 17 years that he lived in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is known as Erva, which means a low place, Baruchnias. So that's where he lived his best years. How is it possible? That's what he asked his grandfather. So the Alter Rebbe answered him. This is the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe. Ksiv the Posik says before Vayigash Ves Yehuda Sholach Lefonav Al Yosef Laheres Lefonav Geishna. It says before Yaakov came to Mitzrayim, he sent Yehuda ahead. Laheres Lefonav Geishna to the word Laheres in a simple pshat means to make sure that in Geishan we're going to move to Geishan to make sure things are okay there. But Isa Medrash says move Berasha. Rasha brings it. This is all part of the Lashon of the Alter Rebbe. So it says like this: Omer Reb Nechemia said, "Lahaskin lebeis Talmud." Why did he send Yehuda first to Geishan? To establish a place to learn Torah. Should Shom Torah, there should be the Torah there. V'shayu Shvatim Hegim b'Torah, and the Shvatim should learn Torah. So he teaches the word Laheres from Lashon Heiroah, teaching, that he sent him to make a place where you could teach Torah. Then he adds another word, Alter Rebbe. It's all part of what he said to his grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek. Laheres Lefonav Geishna. When it says the words here, Laheres Lefonav, to teach, and he sent them ahead to teach in Geishan. Now the word Geishan is a name of a city, a name of an area, but Geishan also has another meaning from the word Gesh Hola, come close. So he taught Laheres Lefonav Geishna means Keshalem Dim Torah. When you learn Torah, Miskarvim Lakadosh Baruch Hu. You get close to David. That's taught Laheres Lefonav Geishna. When you have Laheres, you have Geishna. So therefore, even in Mitzrayim, since he sent Yehuda, so they had Torah there, and the Shvatim learned Torah. That's why even in Mitzrayim is given gelebt, and he teaches it in Yiddish. He quotes the Lashon Yiddish. As man learn Torah, wird man enter zum Eibishten Baruch Hu. When you learn Torah, you get closer to the Eibishter. Und in Mitzrayim is given Vayechi gelebt, and in Mitzrayim, even in Mitzrayim was also gelebt. It was real life. Even if it's a Mitzrayim. This is the answer that the Alter Rebbe gave to the Tzemach Tzedek. So before the Rebbe asks the questions, the Rebbe gives the introduction. He says like this: the stories that our Rabbeim told us, and especially those that they wanted should be spread out, should be publicized. As we know, our exact every word, every prat in the story is meduyek. Hainu, when we say every prat means Hen b'shayches la'avonas teichan hasipur. Sai b'negeya, to understand what the story is all about. So every prat is negeya. Shechol prat negeya. Every prat is important. U'mesayeya la'avonas kol u'sinyonei. And it helps understanding the whole thing. In other words, if he says a prat, it's not just derech agav, he said a prat. A lot of things happened at the moment when this happened. Maybe he walked over, maybe he stood. He only says over these pratim, which may help you understand the story. And also these pratim are negeya to the lesson that we take from the story. In every prat is hidden a lesson. Not only in the whole story, there's a lesson of Avodas Hashem. Every prat helps you in the lesson. So that's b'chal by all the stories, especially stories that they wanted to farsim. Here also, every prat of this story is meduyik and a hero and aveda. Including even the question that the Tzemach Tzedek asked. Because someone might think, Mele, the Alter Rebbe answered, he was a Rebbe. Tzemach Tzedek at that time was a child when he asked the question. So the Rebbe says, even though he asked it as a child, but still, since it's part of the story that was told to us by the Rabbeim, Certainly, even in the question, there's a lot of meaning. So even in the question, there's a lesson of Adam. So now he said, why? Because the Rabbi said it over, even though it's the name of a child. But if the Rabbi said over the word of the child, there's a lot to it. But especially Chazal say that even little children, you could see in them what they're going to be when they grow up. So when you see later somebody grow up to be somebody like the Tzemach Tzedek, when he was a child already, there was greatness in him. The literal translation of this Maimer Azal is butzim katvid means a certain adalah, a certain vegetable, melons. When they start growing, you already know if it'll be. You look at it, you say, "Oh, this is going to be when it grows up. It's going to grow out. It's going to be a special one." Same thing by people when they're small, you could tell what's going to be. So that usually they bring this Maimer Azal that when you see Gdei Yisrael, so you could tell over stories what they said or things that they said when they're a child because already they had godless. So here too, even this. The Tzemach Tzedek's question as a child also is meduyik and is a lesson in Aveda. Another nekuda. The Yura shel Admor Azok nemer that Tzemach Tzedek who adayin b'katnus. The Alter Rebbe's answer was said to the Tzemach Tzedek when he was still a child. From that we understand that the lesson we take from this story is shaykhet to everybody. Gam le'elu shem adayin b'darke shel katnus v'avedas Hashem. Even to Ktanim. Now, he doesn't say Ktanim means little kids, but the word Katnas is in Geshaim, in quotation, meaning Katnas, even people at a low level are also able to take a lesson from this story. So this is just an introduction that everything's Meduyik. Now the Rebbe is going to get to understand it, to look into the Yukim and understand it. If you look at first glance, there are certain protim, certain details which are not understood in the contents of the story, and in the hemshech of the story. Number one, the answer of the Alter Rebbe is not an answer, and not enough answer, and not a satisfactory answer to the question that the Tzemach Tzedek asked. That his question was, how could it be how could we say that the best years of Yaakov, of his life, was in Mitzrayim? That's the question. So what was the answer? The answer was that if you learn Torah, even in Mitzrayim, you could also live a proper life. Doesn't answer why these are the best years. If you would ask, how is it possible in Mitzrayim to live a proper life? The answer is, you learn Torah, even in Mitzrayim, you can live a proper life. That wasn't the question. The question was, how could you say that his best life was in Mitzrayim, in such a low place? And that the Alter Rebbe didn't answer. Second question. The Tzemach Tzedek at that time was very young. The best raya is that, how did he know the Balaturim? Not because he learned it, because his Malamed told him. Why didn't he learn it himself? Because he was still young. So this was a time when he was still young. And when you're still young, you don't learn Balaturim, don't learn other Mefarshim. What do you learn when you're young? You learn Rashi. So Loma Hevi Admor Azok and Rosh Hashanah Allah Posik Lahedus one of the Geishna Mimedresh Muva Barash Pirish. So we see the way the Alter Rebbe said it to him, that the pshat that he sent Yehuda to prepare a place to learn. He said it says that in Medrash brought down in Rashi. Why did he bring it from the Medrash? He could bring directly from Rashi, and to a child you would probably speak from Rashi rather than from other Mefarshim. So we must say, even what Rashi, the way Rashi says it, it will also answer the question. That's why he mentions in the answer, he mentions Rashi. But he brought it to Medrash because there will be an additional point in the answer if you bring it from the Medrash. So the Rashi itself, the way he says it, would have been an answer to the question, but he wanted to give the answer even better. And now, what the Rebbe is going to do, he's going to bring what actually says it in Medrash more than Rashi, and he's going to ask, and we don't see what that adds. So and he makes it a third child. The Pirish Rashi moving in Maimer Azala now. In Rashi, which he brings this Maimer Chazal, the Rashi's Loshen is like this. That what does it mean? He sent him to Geshen, Lesaken Leibel Talmud, to establish a place of learning. From there will come out teaching. But Medrash, Medrash adds a few words. That this is a place where we'll make a base Talmud. A place where the Shvatim will learn a lot of Torah. So we have to understand. He's trying to answer why Yaakov Avinu's best years are in Mitzrayim, Yaakov's years. What will be added when we add the all the Medrash adds, he adds that he should make a place to learn where the Shvatim able to learn. Why isn't it the Shvatim? Question is, how is the best years of Yaakov in Mitzrayim? He would have said because he had a yeshiva there, he made a bistalmud, and Yaakov was able to learn Torah. Because that's the question. How are Yaakov's years in Mitzrayim the best years? But he asked from, that would have been from Rashi. Rashi doesn't say about the Shvatim. So make a bistalmud, you should be able to learn Torah. The Medrash that the Rebbe brings, the Alter Rebbe said, adds that he made it so the Shvatim should learn Torah. Why is that important? So the kasha was, what's wrong? Why not from Rashi? Rashi he should have brought, because he's little kids, he should bring from Rashi. Elamai, there must be something in Medrash that adds to the Pshat. What does it add? It adds that the Shvatim, what's the game of the Shvatim here? And then if you look at Order 10, the Rebbe even adds a Shaila. Gam, another question. Lama bocha ba girsev sheyu hashvatim hegim b'teira v'lei loimdim eishay malamed shvatim. In Medrash itself, different Medrashim. Some Medrashim, it doesn't say it's a place where the Shvatim will be hegim b'teira. Hegim b'teira means horaven, learning hard, toiling in Teira. There is a learning Teira. So the Alter Rebbe chose this Loshe Mashma that the fact that they were working hard in learning Teira adds also to it. What does that add to answer the Shaila that Yaakov Avinu, his best years were in Mitzrayim? To answer it, we have to first explain even more something that needs to be explained in the question of a Tzemach Tzedek. Till now he asked on the Alter Rebbe's answer, how he answered the question. But now he says, let's understand the question of the Tzemach Tzedek. Question was, how could it be that the best years of Yaakov were in Mitzrayim? What's the problem? There's no kasha. Why his best years were when he was in Mitzrayim? That's when he was together with Yosef. Isn't that the best time he had? And what does that mean? It doesn't just mean that he happened to see Yosef, which he didn't know he would ever see him. He happened to see him. It's very simple. The main simcha of Yankov, who was the Bechira Oves, the chosen of the Oves, his greatest simcha was that he not only saw Yosef, he saw Yosef, that Yosef is behaving like it fits for a son of Yaakov. He's still the same tzaddik, even though he's a long time in Mitzrayim. That's probably Apipashta is the greatest simcha you could have. That actually is understood. This idea that by him the main thing was that he sees that he is behaving the way he's supposed to, is the way Rasha explains. When the Pasuk says, Yaakov was told that Yosef is alive. The Pasuk says, he didn't believe it. So his heart turned, he didn't believe it. Then he saw the wagons, then he believed it, and then his spirit got high, etc., etc. So Rashi explains, what does that mean? Only when he saw the wagons, that's when his spirit became alive again. What did the wagons have to, why when he saw the wagons, that's when he became alive. So Rashi says, when he gave the son the wagons, it wasn't just that he saw the wagons. By sending the wagons, Yosef sent a simon to his father. The parashas, that the last thing that he learned with his father before he left was parashas Egla Arufa, from the same word of Agolis, Egla Arufa. That's what it means, Vayares Agolis Sholach Yosef, that he saw the wagons that Yosef sent, because Be'emes Yosef didn't send the wagons. Parei said to send the wagons. Parei sent the wagons. So Rashi says, what does it mean? He saw what Yosef meant by sending, in the wagons, Yosef sent a remes, that he learned Torah. And that's what made Yaakov happy. That's what made Yaakov, Hare, we see from this Rashi, that the main simcha of Yaakov, and when was it complete? That came, when they saw that Yosef is in a very high ruchnizdike matzav, That his sitkis and his Torah is like before. And he saw that from the fact that Yosef sent him the Agolis. Now, the other 13, the Rebbe Bavorns, after the Pashat Zatam, that's not the Poshup Pshat. The Poshup Pshat, why didn't he not believe before? And when he saw the wagons, he believed. First, he didn't believe that Yosef is alive. Then after he got a simon. So, it's nothing to do with Pashtas. Why would it be? Because it's Eglarufa. It could be any simon. How did Yosef send a simon to his father by something that no one else knew? Only he knew. So when his father heard that he gave him a simon of something that no one knows, obviously Yosef sent it. So L'chura has nothing to do with Dafki because of the Agolas. But the Rebbe says no. By the Torah telling us that not just somebody gave a simon, he gave, the Pasuk says what the simon was. What was the simon? Masha also Schapiro from the Pasha that he was learning Torah. That proves it. So what proves to Rashi that it was because he saw that he's learning Torah? Because otherwise, to just say send him a simon, could have sent him a simon that the last meal I ate with you potatoes. Would also been and no one knew that he would know that Yosef is alive. Why is it important to say that it was forbidden with, that he told him what he learned? Showing that that's not the point, stam a simon, that he knows he's alive. He knows how he's alive. That he's alive as a tzaddik. That's when Yaakov came to Mitzrayim. He said to Yosef like this: now I could die already because now I saw your face that you are still alive. And before that he didn't know he's alive. Only seeing his face showed that he's alive. He already knew that he's alive. What he meant to say, that now I see that your matzav ruchni, your spiritual matzav, is the way it's supposed to be. That he only saw when he saw Yosef's face. And tzaddikim, we know, look at the face and they could tell. So he looked at his face and he saw that he's a tzaddik. Then he said, that's the simcha. That's the main simcha. So if that's so, moving for that we can understand that the simcha that Yaakov had by seeing Yosef's face, was a great simcha. And especially, the simcha happened in Mitzrayim, which is a lowland, so the simcha is even stronger. In the place of darkness, there he saw that Yosef is alive with tzidkes. That's the greatest simcha. Okay, that's how we would learn Poshup Pshat, why his simcha was so great. If so, so the question, Tzemach Tzedek's question, and the whole arichas of the Alter Rebbe's answer, its explanation. What's the question? Can't understand why he came and saw Yosef as a tzaddik in Mitzrayim, the biggest simcha. So that's the best years that Yaakov had. Why? Or what's the kasha of the Tzemach Tzedek? The answer is like this. Mitzrayim represents in Eloshim Etzorim Gvulim. Mitzrayim represents, the word Mitzrayim means limitations. Limitations, hagbolas, limits, which means, and what shot Eretz Mitzrayim? Eretz Mitzrayim means Eretz she'eina nisenes mokim legili lekusi yisborach habilti bagvul. The Eibishter is not movable. The Eibishter is bli gvul. Elam Hazeh is gvul. So Eretz Mitzrayim represents the idea that there is a place which is Hagbola, and the Elokus is not revealed there. Elokus is bli gvul, and if it's a place that's only gvul, so Elokus is not revealed. And this is Be'emes in every place. Every place in the world is Hagbola, is Ametzar, and there's no bli gvul there. Vayechi said, but the Mitzrayim it's even more. He erbas ha'oretz, mokim hachet, va'klipes, hamalimim mastirim hakol inyan laki b'chlal. Not only just not too much elokus, any inyan laki, when you're doing Aveira, so you're doing what they did in Mitzrayim, all the inyanim of immorality, things like that, that's the real helaman elokus, which is bli gvul. And that's what that is Mitzrayim. And tachlis Aveira sa'odami, what is the job of a yid? With the tachlis, to go out of these limitations. What does that mean? The pale. You should feel elokus which is bilti balgul, which is not mugbul. If you feel a lakus, which is bligvul, it gives you the ability to serve Hashem bligvul. Now, what does it mean bligvul serve Hashem? You don't serve Hashem bligvul. We're all mugbul. Beyond your limitations. You're able to give tzedakah. You're only able to give $1. You give $1, give $2. You're going beyond. Why? Because you recognize the Eibishter, who's bligvul, gives you the kef to go bligvul. So that's the pshat Mitzrayim, and the kavan is to go out of Mitzrayim. This is what Tzemach Tzedek as in the Nekuda what he has the Alter Rebbe as a kid. It's true. True, I know that he said. He didn't say it, but that's what he meant. That the greatest simcha that Yaakov had is the 17 years of Mitzrayim. Still then, he never had such a great simcha. So, even though it was in Mitzrayim, but in Mitzrayim Gufa, he saw Yosef as a tzaddik, greatest simcha. But on the other hand, Mitzrayim, but the mere fact that he came down to Mitzrayim, which represents Mitzorim Gvulim Be'er, it represents the real limitations on godliness, the real Helm V'Hester on godliness, El Basores, Pelim Helm V'Hester, Akaponim Hakbole, Betachos, Shleimus Avedasi is Borech. It closes a Hakbole in your Aveda to Hashem. What's the Aveda to Hashem? Lotzis Legamre Me Hakbole Seilam, to go out from the Hakbolas of the world. Ki'im Hargoshes Alakusi is Borech Shalamayel Min HaTeva. You should feel a Lakus that's higher than Teva. Being in Mitzrayim is a place where you can't feel that. So on one hand, he understands that this is a great simcha, a great tainug he had, seeing the sun. But to say that's his best years, what's the ikar of Yaakov? It's Avedas Hashem. Being in Mitzrayim, where it's very hard to serve Hashem properly, which means to feel the biligvul of Hashem. How should the years of Mitzrayim be the best years? Especially in comparison to the years he lived in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael fits the Kedesh Yosem. The Rebbe brings here, Rashi tells us, Yitzchak wanted to leave Eretz Yisrael when there was a hunger, like his father, like Avraham, and go to Mitzrayim. But David said, no, you can't go to Mitzrayim. You can't go out of Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because you're a korban. You're a Eila Tmima. So you're Kedesh Kadoshim. So you belong in Eretz Yisrael. So what do we see from that Rashi? Eretz Yisrael, afilu in Pshuta Shel Mikra, Eretz Yisrael is a place of Kedusha, a place where you feel more the bligvul of the Eibishter. So we're saying here that word that Yaakov has the best years. In Mitzrayim, which is the complete opposite, B'chlal, it's hard to see in a place where there's so much Hakbolas and so much Helem Behesta and Alakus, that should be his best years. His Aveda couldn't be too strong, especially when we compare it to Eretz Yisrael. Most of his, many of his other years, lived in Eretz Yisrael, and still this is better years. How could that be? That was discussion. So the Alter Rebbe answered like this. Yaakov had prepared and established a place to learn in Mitzrayim. If you learn Torah in the Gambe Mitzrayim, even in Mitzrayim you could live a proper life if you have the Torah. Like they live with Torah through Torah, learning Torah, Magdiya, Sodom, Halemet, it picks up the person who learns the Torah. If you connect yourself to Torah, you go higher than the Akbolas, and therefore, Efshel Yisrael is Gambe Mitzrayim, the Pchines Vayechi. In Mitzrayim, you can also live. And when we say live, means Chayim Amitim, the real life. Vatam, how does Torah do that? If the place you're living in is a place where there's no Gilei Lakus, how could the Torah bring it? So he explains, HaTorah Mushreshes Batzmusa Yisborach. Torah is Mushresh, is enrooted in the Atzmos of the Eibishter. The Etzem of the Eibishter. And he quotes in the bottom in the Orah 22 from Tanya, Kilu Nosan Lakon, but the Eibishter gave us the Torah, Kilu Nosan Lonas Atzme Kiviyochel. Like he gave himself. So the Torah has the Etzem of the Eibishter. Okay, Apirish Hayidu B'Maimer Azal, like look at the Torah, it says Pshat, and the Gemara says that Onechi is Nutrikin Zarosh Tevis, Anon Nafshik Shovis Yehovis, which means I myself wrote it, I myself gave it, but look at the Torah, it says a different Pshat. I wrote myself into the Torah. I gave myself over through the Torah. So B'Meila, the Torah is Mushesh, it has Atzmas of Debish in it. Now, if it has Atzmas, what he's going to say is, Atzmas has no limitations. Makes no difference which place it comes. Just like Atzmas is beyond higher and lower, and only Atzmas, the Etzem of the Eibishter. When we talk about Eirei Sof, Giluyim of the Eibishter, yeah, Giluyim, there are a higher level of Giluyim, a lower level of Giluyim. Yeah, it has a certain Agbola of where you are. The etzem of the Eibishter is higher than any of these ksubis, of these edges of Mila or Mata. So just like the Eibishter, the etzem of the Eibishter is higher than Mayam Ader Zel B'Teira. Shagam Hamshachos Lamata Teira, since it's higher than the extremes of Mila Mata, so the Teira, Gamba Hamshachos Lamata, even when it's down here, B'Chola Madreges Shelo. In all the madregas of the Torah, gam k'shenosa v'yordach and islapshe b'dvorim gashmi b'yonei haza, even when it's Lashon of Tanya, that came down from all the way from the Eibush that came down, and it's nislabish, it's put into gashmistic things. Torah talks all about gashmistic things. In Yom Havel haza, harei b'chidus bligvul, the Torah is bligvul. So since the Torah has the bligvul of the Eibush, if you learn Torah, connect yourself to Torah, shal yidei zeh misyachadim b'yichad nifla. Through learning the Torah, you become one with the Torah in such a unity. It's united with the Torah like on all sides. And Tanya goes in Barichas here. He brings here from Perek Hey that when you learn something, you become one with the thing that you learn, because your mind surrounds this idea you're learning, and the idea is in your mind. When someone learns something, you say licht in the minyan. So his mind is in that idea. And we also say erhodisvara in kop. So you have both. That's a union that you can't have in anything else. So when he learns Torah, which is bligvul, and connects to it, so it has the koyach lahalis esamid mikol amdidus v'akbola shaleilam, to elevate the person from all the limitations of the world. Levatlas ahelam vesed in Mitzrayim, to be mevatel, to destroy the concealment of Mitzrayim. And even physically, the Torah is no limit. It says in Order 24, the pasuk says, "Arucha me'eretz mita." It's longer than any measurement. And therefore, since he sent Yehuda to do what? He made a yeshiva so there be Torah. It wasn't no yerida. What was that Tzemach said this kasha? I understand the Simcha was the greatest in Mitzrayim these years. I understand. But there's a downside to it. He was in a place of Gvul, a place of hell of a Hester. How could that be good? The answer is he had Torah, so the Torah is good. So the best years could be in Mitzrayim. Why? So far we're saying the best years could be. Why is it the best? Because of the Simcha that he saw Yosef as a tzaddik. But the question is, but there is a chesron here? No, there's no chesron. If you have Torah, there's no chesron of Mitzrayim, because the Torah takes away the agbolas of Mitzrayim. But then the Rebbe continues, but still to explain better why is it the best years. Now the truth is, still we get here, we also already know why it's the best years. It's the best years because of the fact that he saw Yosef. But the Alter Rebbe said that you're asking, there is a downside. There is no downside if you have Torah. So the best years is not mitzad the fact that he has Torah. That just takes away a problem. There's a problem here that there's a hell of a Hester. If you have Torah, there's no hell of a Hester. But the Rebbe wants to explain that the best years is not only because he saw Yosef as a tzaddik. The best years is mitzad the Torah gufa. Now that needs to explain. Why is it? So the Torah, all the Torah did, that it took away the hell of a Hester. Good. In Eretz Yisrael, you had no hell of a Hester to begin with. So why is this better than the years of Eretz Yisrael? So the Rebbe says to explain why this is the best. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe muvaz droshas razal ala posek heils vanavigation of medrash. The question was, why does he not bring it from Rashi? Rashi says the same thing, but the medrash adds a few words. That's why he brings it from the medrash. Ima heisofer, and the medrash adds the words v'sheyu hashvotim heigim b'teira. The shvotim, he opened the yeshiva. The shvotim should be able to toil in Torah. Canal sigim, like I said before. What does that add? And that makes you understand why this was the best years. Habir explanation is like this. This same posik, where when he was a child, asked the question that we said we're talking about, the Tzemach Tzedek, when you grew up, is mavaya that posik in Eira Torah, in his sefer. He says like this: Vayechi Yankov beres Mitzrayim 17 shana. Yaakov lived in Mitzrayim 17 years. 17 is the gematria of good. The Hainu Aidei 17 the Mitzrayim, that being 70 years in Mitzrayim, Zochol lebchines Vayechi, he was zeicha to Vayechi lireis teiv, to see the good. Ki yisra na'er nimshach min achesha, because the the extra light comes from darkness. Behind what it means is, Shayidei Hayerida leMitzrayim Zocher leYisra Ne'era Nimshech V'Nacheshech. Oh, he would not be in Mitzrayim, he would not have problems, and it would be a high Aveda. Learning Torah not only made that there is taking away the chesed, the problem in Mitzrayim, it made it even stronger because it's Yisra Ne'er Nimshech V'Nacheshech. From darkness, if you have light, which in this case is the Torah coming from darkness, it's stronger. And that's in the Kud of the answer. It's not explained yet. In the Kud of the answer, how is the answer that Alter Rebbe is saying that he had the Torah there, and therefore it was the best years? That doesn't make it the best year. That makes it that it's not a problem. No, it's the best years because it's in Mitzrayim where you have Cheshech, and there you learn Torah. Oh, that's even a greater level of Torah. But it's not explained yet. All he says is the Nekudah, that it's Yisra, and the Lashon of the Tzemach Tzedek is Yisra Na'er Nimshech Min HaCheshech. The darkness comes from light. Now the Rebbe is going to explain what this means. In a Yisra Na'er Min HaCheshech, this is negated a lot of Morim Chassidus. When we say there is Yisra Na'er Min HaCheshech, yes, Beis Pirushim, there are two pshatim in it, which means not just two pshatim. Two Ifanim, there are two things that happen then when you have light coming from darkness. Whenever we say that, when you say that light after darkness is stronger, in Poshup Pshat, what does it mean? If you're sitting in a dark room and then you walk out to the light seems stronger. You feel it stronger. Is the light taka stronger? Is there more light here? You see the strength of the light, which in the darkness, it doesn't, it's not, when you don't have it, you don't, here you see if you have a light room the whole time, you don't see the strength of it. When you see that, even though there's dark and you bring light in. So that's the first way. We say the light that has a yisran over darkness means the place of darkness. There's a place that's dark. So when you put up the light, when you put a light into that room, then you see, the light shines in the place of darkness. The stronger the darkness is, you could tell the maila, the goodness of the light. The darker it is, you see how strong the light is. So when it's a real dark and you bring light in, now you really see, oh, this light is so strong. And when we talk about the Eibishter, from in a place where it's dark, you see the greatness of the light. Second way is, the darkness itself shines. Like they say, so the light becomes more. There's a certain level in the light that happens if the darkness becomes light. Now, I don't know if in Gashmi there is such a thing. See, normally, we always use it as a Gashmistic thing. The light after darkness, when you bring light to darkness, it's a stronger light. So the first thing fits. Yes, you see the strength of the light. The second thing is not in Gashmis. I never saw, unless there is, I don't know. I never saw darkness turning into light. You could say, in spite of the darkness, there's dark, I could bring light in and push it. No more dark. But the darkness turns into light. But the Ruchni is there is such a thing, as we'll see here. The difference between these explanations like this. According to the first way, what it means is, it means like this. It's interesting how the Rebbe goes on both sides. When you say according to first pshat, light has nothing to do with darkness. The darkness is another place. There's a place of darkness and there's light. As far as the light is concerned, there is no darkness. So shal yoda nikeres. So the first biur, it doesn't mean that lagaba de'eder is light and shal yoda niker yisrein shaleir, and through that you see how light is better. Not true. There is no darkness. In the level of light, there is no darkness. The bikim sho'er built in mugbal, if it's a right light, and it's light that has no agbolas, it lights all over. It could even come and light up a dark place. So when you talk about the light as an entity of light, there is no darkness, it's a separate entity. Light has no entity of darkness. Elamai, we say that the dark light could come and light up a dark room. What's the pshat? There's a mile in the light from darkness. If not for the light, it would be dark. So we're saying not that the dark light has to do with the darkness, but the light could light up the dark place. The person who sees it, yeah, to him there was dark before, there was a metzias of darkness, now there's a metzias of light, and the light comes into the lights of the dark room. That's according to the first way. There is no Metzias of darkness. According to the second shot, that the light comes from the darkness itself. So when there is air has a Metzias of darkness. The light changes the darkness, and the darkness turns into light. So it's not that it just comes to light up the place. It has a pu'ula on the darkness. So the darkness is a Metzias, and it could change him to light. So on one hand, which way is a higher madrege? A higher madrege is the first one. That the kabbalah the air, there is no darkness. And the air has a kerf, the light of the darkness. So the gabe that take there's a mile, but on the other hand, there's a mile in the second way. The second way is that the darkness turns into light. So on one hand, the light says that there is a Metzias of darkness. I'm trying to work with the darkness to make the darkness become light. So it knows there is a Metzias of darkness, but the power that it has is a stronger one than according to the first, because the first, it doesn't change darkness into light. It just brings light into a dark place. According to Narpos, the Pirush HaPosek Vayechi Yaakov Beretz Mitzrayim, it's a Yaakov lived in Mitzrayim. That means Sha'yidei Hayeridim Mitzrayim, by going to Mitzrayim, Zocho, this is a lotion of the Tzemach Tzedek. He was Zeicher Lebchinas Vayechi Hanimshech Min HaCheshech. What kind of light did he have? Not light that he lit up the dark place. The darkness turned into light. Not that he's in Mitzrayim, a place of darkness. So he was a tzaddik, so he brought light. So the light lit up the dark place. That other people could even see that the darkness is lit up. So that even in Mitzrayim, he was betachlas ha'ilui, so that light lit up the darkness. It's more than that. The Lashon he says here is, he was zeicha to the light, hanimshech min ha'chayshech. The light that comes from the darkness. So that Tzemach Tzedek explains that what happened in Mitzrayim by Yaakov the second way, that Yaakov was able to transform darkness into light. He went to a dark place, and the darkness turned into light through the Torah. So now we can understand. I could say, that's why the Alter Rebbe, when he answered, he brought also from the Medrash, that the Medrash adds, that the Shvatim, a place where there's Torah, and they could learn Torah. Why mention the Shvatim? To be merames, to hint to this inyan that he was able to change darkness to light, not only bringing light into darkness, which means the light itself has nothing to do with darkness. The light itself, light, it just comes there. But it had to do overcoming, transforming the darkness. And that's hinted in the word Shvatim. We know like this. Obvious is a Madrege of Atzilus, which is, in Atzilus it says there is no inyan of Cheshach. It says, Lo Yegur Chara, there is no Ra, bad means where there's darkness, Helaman, Lakuz, there's no such thing in Atzilus. But the Shvatim, the Loshen HaMshocha, the Shvatim, the word Shevet means HaMshocha, Kechvod Shavit. A shooting star is called a Kechvod Shavit, means it's shooting, it's going. HaMshocha, that's Shvatim, so they're already the way it's Nimshach lower. The Ovis is Atzilus, the Shvatim already Bri, Yitzira, Asiyah, they're Biyah. Yankov, whose his level was Atzilus, which is a bleak vul air. There's no Metzias of Mitzrayim. He's beyond Mitzrayim. And therefore, what he could have done was, on his own, bring his light into a place which is dark. But Mitzidei has nothing to do with the darkness. But we want, the Tzemach Tzedek wanted to show that what happening here is that he changed over the darkness into light. So you have to have the shaykhs to some darkness. Bria, Yitzira, Bia is already a beginning of darkness. That's why he brings from the Medrash. Shvatim should learn Torah. Which Bia is already Alma de Prud. It's a place already of Pirud. It's a place where it's separated from Hashem Kivyochel, and it's a place where it's already dark. A place of darkness. By them learning Torah in Mitzrayim, and they were part of the darkness because they were also Bia. So that caused that the Metzias of Cheshech, they should light it up, and they changed, transformed the darkness into light. So they accomplished the level of the darkness itself changing. Why? Because they were, to a certain degree, also in a shaykhs to darkness, because they're biyah already. So when he wants to say that Yaakov Avinu had this Maila that in Mitzrayim, in the darkness, Yisr Na'ir Mina Cheshach, he had to bring in the Shvatim, because for him himself, he didn't change the darkness. He had no shaykhs of darkness, but they did. This changeover wasn't that Yaakov did it. There's no darkness. It's only the Shvatim. So how is this a beer on Yaakov's years? By him making the yeshiva, where there is stated that the Shvatim should be able to learn. So he was also zeicha to the same thing of Yisr Na'er Animshach Min HaCheshach. That the air that comes from Cheshach, he has a chelik in them changing over, transforming the Cheshach into light. But how you do it, like it's known. Says that if you do Aveda in Biyah, not only adding light in this world, if you do mitzvahs in this world, we add light in Atzilus. So the Shvatim transforming the light of darkness, the Messias of darkness, which they had a kesher to, because they were also a lower level where there is such thing as darkness. And Yaakov is the one that gave him the Torah, made the place. So then Yaakov also has a chelik in it. And based on this, the Ha'orah 33, the Rebbe answers the kasha they asked in the Ha'orah before, why is it important to give a Hegim b'Torah, that they toiled in Torah? So he says, because in Torah you also have a inyan of Yisra Na'im and Acheshach. You have extra light from Torah. When do you have it? When you have a kasha, and you work hard to answer. So you're transforming that part that's dark. If you don't understand something, it's dark, and you get the light. The darkness is transformed into light. So he wants to be marambas that even in their Torah, not only they took the Mitzrayim, darkness of Mitzrayim, and transformed it into light. Their learning of himself did that. So that's why he adds the word Yehegin. But that's a side point. But the Sichos is trying to say why he brings the Shvat. Now, if the whole thing was the Maila of being in Mitzrayim, transforming the darkness of Mitzrayim through Torah, and that's the best years that you could have, and that's the best years of Yaakov because he had a chelik in the transformation of the Cheshach. Why didn't he say him very clear to him? He should have said to him very clear that in Mitzrayim is the best thing to do. You're able to transform the darkness. That's the best thing you should do. He didn't say. He told him that in Mitzrayim is also lived if you learn Torah. The Rebbe said this hints to this inyan that the Cheshach to be transformed, that's the greatest thing. Why did he do that? Very simple. Seder Aveda Sodom Tzarech L'Yizvei Yosher. If you give a person a Seder Aveda, how are you supposed to do? Seder is like this. Sur Mirah, first thing is stay away from evil, which is Cheshach. We don't have anything to do. We shouldn't have anything to do with darkness. And Asay Tev, which means Asay Aveda Be'ef from the B'dover Shel Melchatchila Olu L'Muchshel Liyastev. Work with light. Do things which are good. Get involved. Take things which you could use it for good. That's all. Don't get involved in bad. That's the Seder. That's not a derech what you should do. We shouldn't do that. But is when a person has tests, and he has obstacles in order to do Torah mitzvah. And he overcomes it. He stands. He passes the test. He reaches such a high level. If not for the test, he wouldn't reach it. So we see here we started saying, don't look for darkness. Stay away from darkness. Just do what you're supposed to do good. We mean, there's a big mile to have obstacles, darkness, and overcome it. This is Bechlal when you overcome obstacles. Doing tshuva is the chavin greater. That you push it did Averis. And through that, you change the Averis to mitzvahs. Here happens the second that you push it, transform the darkness into light. So why did we say that that's not a normal state? This Rebbe says like this: it's only if it happens. If you are brought to a place which is a ruchnistic danger, you happen to be there. You didn't come there with kavanah. You happen to be there, and you pass the test. You reach a higher madrega much more than before. Well, there is Adam a person has sinned already. He did Averis. And through the proper tshuva till the Averis become mitzvahs, who's zeicha leilu zeh shomer azali, zeicha to this great madrege. Chazal say, but mokish about tzuva emdim em tzadikim gemurim michayim lamet with tzadikim ariyach they can't reach. But that's only if it happens. Aval al yamad adam makom sakana. Person should come there in the place of sakana. Also lahamid atzmei es atzmei b'chapchila b'matzav shel nisyenis. You're not allowed to put yourself in a nisoyen b'makom she'olo lo v'lidechet, the place where you might come to an avera. You can't do that. Guy will say, I'm bedafke going to go to a place which is you shouldn't be there, and I'll work and close my eyes. No, don't do that. Certainly you can't do an avera saying, I'll go do avera, so I should do tshuva and reach the madrege of tshuva. Not only allowed to do it. We daven to the Eibush, do not bring us to Nisoyan. Not only I don't want to go, I shouldn't go into it. I'm asking the Eibush, please don't bring me to it. So the normal way is a person shouldn't do that. And therefore, when you're talking to a child, no way, no reason, no inyan to tell him is still in young age of education where you're the mila that comes out that the big mila that you get to darkness and you change it to light is gvaldik. Can't tell him that. Tell him the first thing you have to teach a child to stay away from evil. Therefore, this whole union that he meant to tell him that through Torah, you're mamsha, that you're changing the cheshech, and that's the highest madrega. Didn't want to tell it to him. Only beremes. But later, when the Tzemach Tzedek grew up, Peter should be that Tzemach Tzedek ba'atzmei. The Tzemach Tzedek himself explained as Geidlo Ilu Shanasra Adei HaYiridah L'Golos Mitzrayim, the great madrega that you reach by going down to Mitzrayim. Adei Yisro Ne'er Nimshach on HaCheshech Tafke. To the Ye'er that Nimshach on Cheshech. So that he was maramis to him, but he didn't tell it to him. But it's hinted in the fact that he mentioned the Shvatim, because the Shvatim already shows its level of Cheshech, and there you could change it. And that really is the whole answer to the Tzemach Tzedek's word. Now, I'm sure somebody who learns this Sikha will right away at this point say, ooh, only if you happen to be in a place where you're there and there's a problem, you have to overcome the Nishanis. But to come to a place not, so how does the Rebbe send Shluchim all over the world where places where there's Nishanis and hardships and this? Because Be'emes, when the Rebbe sends, it's not even a Nisoyan. Because a Nisoyan means it's a problem you might, who knows what will happen to you, you might get pulled into it. But like the Rebbe said many times, if you go to a place to be mashpia on the place, you will not be pulled in. Like, say I did a told by salt, it says you salt in order to get the blood out. Blood has a nature of giving in also, so it might bring the blood back in. So the thing is that when it's busy giving out, it won't take in. That's it. When you go someplace and you're busy to be mashpia giving out, you won't absorb from them. So that's not called in Stam. But we're talking about Stam, a person doesn't go on shlichus. Stam, you know what? I want to do Aveda. I'm going to walk dafki into a movie house where there's space and sit there and sit and close my eyes. Never tell you know how to do. Unless there's something that you have to do which is a hashpoah, then also you got to have guidance to it, know how to do it. But this is the whole union here that he didn't tell it to Befedish, he just gave it to Beremes. Right. So now we have the lesson, the general lesson from this story. Even though Yankov came to Mitzrayim, he had great simcha, great pleasure that he saw Yosef and his family are behaving properly. Tzemach Tzedek wondered. How is it possible these years where you are in the limitations of Mitzrayim, should be your best years? Behind it, why is that a wonder? And it's really repeating what he said before. The purpose of the neshama come down to this world. And even when he comes down, should try not to be in these limitations, in the place where there is concealment of godliness. And take him out of Mitzrayim. As soon as you're able to run away, the Yidden have to run out of Mitzrayim. Just do that. So that's what he's supposed to do. That's the kasha that Tzemach Tzedek asked, as he said before. Why is it so good to be in Mitzrayim? We're saying the best years in Mitzrayim. It's good in Mitzrayim. About he had simcha, all great simcha that he didn't have before. But what's so good about being in Mitzrayim? If you happen to be there, you got to work on it. You got to fight them, the Mitzrayim Megulim, but it's saying it's good, it's the best that you could get. So now starts the answer, even though it doesn't say. The answer is, but on the other hand, if you are there, You can't run away. Yes, there you got to make that to be the best of your years. It's the best, you transforming the darkness. And how to get to this, we see in the Alter Rebbe's answer. What's the Alter Rebbe's answer? The Pashta is a simple pshat in the answer is like this. He's telling people who normally go in the regular, normal Seder the way you're supposed to go, which is also Lekimas Odom Yosher. By the person straight. Straight means not in the Nisyenis, not in the place where there are hardships. Things. You do everything normal. The Af Elushim, it's a Gzeiro Yenim Vishlachusam Ba'almadein, that even those, because the Eibishter decreed and sent them a shlichus to this world, they are in the limitations of this world. So we have to know, even if you're in a place where in Elam Hazard, which is in itself Hagbola, you're in the Ervasoretz, they have to know, Shavidosim he, their Avedi is not only to make sure that you don't fall. You have to make a dira into, not only you shouldn't fall, you have to bring the light of Hashem into the lowest places. Bring atzmus, like we said before, through Torah you have atzmus, which is not mugbul. Even if you are in the place which has mitzorim megvulim, so then you have to bring a lakus there. How do you do that? What's the eitzah? Ha-Torah. Torah. Learning Torah. Torah is the revelation of the Eibishter's Chochmah and the Eibishter's will, which is higher than Agbolas and changes. You could be beyond the Mitzorim, which means you will not fall into the Mitzorim, you will not be pulled down if you learn Torah. Not only Mitzrayim will not make you low, this case, you will be zeicher the b'chinas Vayechi gelebt chaim amitim eretz Mitzrayim. You will live in Mitzrayim also. But the Weile, he didn't say that we reach the second level. He said this is like we said before. The Alter Rebbe answered that's a matzadik in simple pshat. The first level, stay away from bad, and even if you're in a place where there's a possibility of bad, still stay away from it. And even there, you could bring light. But it's the Weile. It's not transforming darkness into light. You're bringing light into a dark place. And that's what the Alter Rebbe said to the Tzemach Tzedek in simple pshat. He didn't say it's the best years there. That was Beremes. And that was the Remes to the Kasha of the Tzemach Tzedek, the Shaila. But what he's saying is, you could, like Yaakov, didn't fall into the trap of the Mitzorim, and he's able to bring the light into that place. But we said before, there's a second level, not bringing light into a dark place, transforming the dark itself into light. So he says, Ulam calls it what we said till now is if you do everything straight, shall they have a dosan believe in Torah, and through the Aveda and learning Torah, learn Torah, then you don't fall under the limitation of Mitzrayim. But those are already sin. You can't say don't be trapped on Mitzrayim. You're trapped already. You fell into the limitation. How could they have the Vayechi? That even there it's not living. Living means living a life of a lakus. So here comes the second level, which is the remes of the Alter Rebbe's words. Don't give up hope. Through tshuva. Tshuva is not bringing light into darkness. You're working with the darkness. You're transforming the darkness. Not only does he leave the dark place, here you transform the darkness. Because about tshuva is able to make from zdeinis kazochis, the averes turn into mitzvahs. Now the Rebbe said, but since the real mile of the air, the great strength of the air is when it's transformed Gashmias, somebody who didn't do averes, he's going straight, might make a mistake, lamer to say, so I want to go do aveda there. I want to get this Chaim Badreg of transforming darkness. I'll do averes. Therefore, this mile that when you change darkness to light is so great, he only said it beremes. He didn't say befeidish. That teaches a person can't choose a way of doing Averis in order to have the mile of tshuva. Someone says, I'll sin, I'll do tshuva. Maybe she doesn't help him to do tshuva. You even fall from before, so you can't do that. So maybe that you can do. But if you happen to be there, or let's say you were sent there, so there you got to change over the diet. So someone who's working with people who do Avedas, or the person himself who did Avedas, has to know that he could reach the higher Madrege, which is, and that will be the best years of his. The tshuva will be the best years. This is a very interesting piece now. This guy who does everything good and didn't do Avedas, doesn't have the mile of tshuva, why does he lose out? That you can't reach that Madrege of the mile of the light that comes from changing darkness. Because he goes in the right way. It's called Chetaniske, the guy who sins, he gains. I'm a good guy, I'm a tzaddik guy, I'm losing. This answer to this also hinted in Alter Rebbe's words. Information is boiled, just like we said before. We said Yaakov himself was Atzilus. He wasn't Shaykhus the darkness. So how did he accomplish, we say, the best years? Because he changed the darkness into light. Because the Shvatim learned Torah, and the Shvatim are able to change the darkness. But that's not Yaakov. So what did we say before? Why is it attributed to Yaakov, that his best years? Because they're still like the since he worked that the Shvatim should learn, so he had a share in what the Shvatim accomplished by transforming the darkness. He had a share because he caused it to happen. The same thing by every Yid. When a Yid is involved with those who are far from Hashem and the Torah, they're making the Baal Tshuva. So since he made them to a Baal Tshuva, and they reached this higher level of a Baal Tshuva, but it's all because of him, since he caused the other guy to do the mile of tshuva, so the mile of the air that the Baal Tshuva has, this person has. That's interesting. That's why people say the mile of a Baal Tshuva, but a person who does shlichus and mekarav a yid has that mile, and he already brings this. You do the pshat shnai meirs and betalis. Pshat that the way we learn shnai meirs and betalis in Gan Eden. Poshuv pshat, two people coming with betalis. He says it's mine. He says it's mine. He says I found it. I found it. So he split. There it says a moshel of a yid was sitting. A storekeeper is sitting in the outside of the store while there's no customers. What does he do? He sits and learns. Still, says still him. Friday Yid goes by. He said, what are you doing? So he starts explaining to him, till him this and that. And the guy hears that, but Yiddishkeit. Nothing happened. He meets another guy later who also tells him. So now he reminds himself what happened before. So between the two, it's made at him and he does tshuva. They come both l'mayla. Each one says, it's me. If not for me, the first guy said, your words would not have made him about tshuva. The other guy says, if not for me, he didn't become. They both get a share. So the Rebbe says the same thing here also. If you make another person about tshuva, you have a share in him. Like they call Zeh, the carbon beast of Mashiach, and the card of the becoming of Mashiach. Also, Latsovet Tzadikai Bet Yuf Mashiach will make that Tzadiki will do tshuva. They say they'll have the mile of tshuva also. So that's what we can do now. A Tzadik, as we call from birth to this, could have the mile of about tshuva for making other people about tshuva. And then you have the mile, the same mile as Yaakov had 17 last years in Mitzrayim, the best years. This will be when we are Makarav Yid. Okay.
Shkai, thank you.